And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you by Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche, the famous German philosopher, often dealt with complex topics about life, morality, and human nature. One of his most well-known quotes is, "And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you." This line can sound mysterious or even frightening, but it carries deep meaning about how people interact with challenges, evil, or the darker side of life. The word abyss here can be thought of as a metaphor. In simple terms, it refers to something unknown, chaotic, or potentially dangerous. Nietzsche was telling us that when we focus too much on negativity or darkness, whether it's in others, in society, or even within ourselves, we risk becoming like what we are staring at. The more we try to understand or fight the darkness out there, the more likely it is that we might lose part of ourselves and be influenced by it. This quote can apply to many situations in life, from personal struggles to dealing with evil or moral dilemmas. Nietzsche often discussed how human beings have a complex relationship with morality, power, and suffering. The abyss, in this case, represents the darker parts of life, those things we are afraid of, the challenges we face, or the cruelty and injustice in the world. When we confront these things, there is always a risk that they will leave a mark on us. In everyday terms, this could mean that when we focus too much on hatred, pain, or negative emotions, those emotions start to affect who we are. Imagine someone who constantly faces stressful situations or anger. Over time, this stress or anger could change them, turning them into someone more negative, angry, or pessimistic. Nietzsche was warning against allowing this to happen. One important idea in this quote is the risk of becoming what we hate or fight against. For example, someone who spends too much time fighting evil might become ruthless themselves. Or, a person who constantly thinks about their own flaws might become trapped by them, losing confidence or self-worth. Nietzsche was saying that people should be careful not to lose themselves in the process of confronting difficult situations. It's essential to maintain balance and not let the abyss take over. This concept also connects to broader philosophical ideas about human nature. Nietzsche often questioned traditional values and ideas about good and evil. He believed that people should not blindly follow established moral systems but instead should think for themselves and develop their own understanding of what is right and wrong. However, doing this can be dangerous because it requires confronting difficult truths about life, which might not always be easy to handle. The abyss here can also represent the uncertainty and confusion people experience when they try to find their own path. In the modern world, Nietzsche's idea of the abyss has many applications. For example, consider social media and the internet. People spend hours interacting with negative news or toxic online discussions. If someone continually focuses on negativity, whether through reading depressing news stories or getting into online arguments, it can affect their mental well-being. Over time, the person might become more anxious, cynical, or even aggressive. This is a perfect example of how, by constantly staring into the abyss of negativity, the abyss starts to change us in return. Another area where Nietzsche's warning applies is politics and activism. Many people fight for justice and fairness in the world, but sometimes, those who fight against oppression can become oppressive themselves. For instance, individuals or groups who oppose one form of injustice might end up using extreme measures or becoming intolerant of others. The fight for justice can turn into something harmful if people are not careful to maintain their values. Nietzsche's quote suggests that we should always remain aware of this danger, keeping in mind that our methods and attitudes can affect who we become. This philosophical insight can also apply to personal relationships. For instance, in cases of conflict or betrayal, it is easy to get lost in anger or bitterness. Someone who has been wronged might become obsessed with revenge or holding on to grudges. However, by focusing too much on these feelings, they might become the kind of person they once despised, angry, resentful, and unable to move forward. Nietzsche's quote reminds us that, in such situations, it is essential to not lose ourselves in the process. It is better to let go and find a way to rise above the situation than to let the abyss of bitterness change who we are. On a more philosophical level, Nietzsche also believed that looking into the abyss could be a necessary part of personal growth. Life is full of difficulties, challenges, and suffering. Facing these dark aspects of life, whether it is personal suffering, the harsh realities of the world, or the moral complexities of human nature, can be overwhelming. But Nietzsche argued that it is essential for individuals to confront these challenges in order to grow stronger and wiser. However, the key is to face these difficulties without being consumed by them. This is where the balance comes in. We should not avoid the darker parts of life, but we should also not allow them to dominate us. Nietzsche's philosophy often emphasizes the importance of individual strength, resilience, and the pursuit of personal meaning. He believed that people should strive to overcome difficulties and create their own purpose in life, even if it means confronting hard truths. The abyss is a metaphor for the challenges and uncertainties we all face, and Nietzsche's warning is about maintaining our integrity and not being overwhelmed by these challenges. In conclusion, and if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you, is a powerful reminder that while facing challenges or negativity is often necessary, we must be cautious not to let these things change us for the worse. Whether it is in our personal lives, in our relationships with others, or in society as a whole, Nietzsche's words encourage us to remain strong, maintain our values, and be mindful of how we are affected by the world around us. If you enjoyed this video and found this explanation helpful, please like and subscribe to support the channel for more insightful content.